The Bengaluru Poetry Festival is honored to have Vikram Kumar, a budding poet on the autistic spectrum with severe apraxia, who independently communicates through a spelling board and an iPad and succeeds in eloquently expressing his vivid imagination. We're really happy to have him here, and Vikram will also entertain a couple of questions at the end of his session. Thank you so much.
He hasn't spoken, ever. So Vikram is a poet. He's about in his 30s. He was written off as a person with very little intelligence. And till the age of 27, we did not know or discover that he indeed had some intelligence. So he was written off as a person who was on the fringe of mainstream society, as he put it. So a quick rewind on Vikram. He was born normal child. He was diagnosed autistic by the age of 2, sorry. He never spoke. He walked by the age of 2. And we heard this diagnosis called autism. And most people refer to autism, oh, he's a savant. You know, there's a Rain Man guy. I'll come back to Rain Man in a minute. So as he put it, he was in special schools because he couldn't speak. He was in all kinds of programs. He had apraxia, he still does. And he's been braving his condition for all these years. He still has seizures, but he used to have over 200 seizures a day. And there was an Ayurvedic doctor who kind of helped us out with his seizures. So he's deeply blessed, and he's also very grateful for who he is and what he's able to contribute. So, a quick video on a poem that he wrote, his first poem actually, which was converted to a song and sung by a friend's daughter. And this will kind of give you a background on his condition.
Hi, my name is Vikram. An important aspect of my identity is that I am a non-speaking autistic individual. I convey my innermost thoughts through verse. For 27 years, I have silently observed the world with limited ability to communicate my most basic needs. After 6 months of daily S2C and RPM therapy sessions in Atlanta, I learned to type my first words on a letterboard. Today, I am an aspiring poet. Through the words of this song, I have a message to share with the world about my stems.
What gives you the right to be so cruel? So cruel to my other self. I only wanted to be your friend and walk the earth, but you only want to send me straight to hell. What gives you the right to live my life and waste it all away? I can't help but wonder why you hate me so, 'cause you took my home and you ruined my stay. You try to shake my faith like Satan, plant demons in my head. But I live amongst the angels, and they hold me up so I can fight until the end. I will win the war. You can laugh right now, 'cause my spirit's strong and my mind will break the fall. I will win the war. You can take the battle, 'cause I'll prevail, and love will conquer all. What gives you the right to keep me cuffed? Hurt me with all your strength. I've only wished for a normal life. Don't ask for much, all I want to do is sleep in peace again. You try to shake my faith like Satan, plant demons in my head. But I live amongst the angels, and they hold me up so I can fight until the end. I will win the war. You can laugh right now, cause my spirit's strong and my mind will break the fall. I will win the war. You can take the battle, cause I'll prevail and love will conquer all. I will win the war. You can laugh right now, cause my spirit's strong and my mind will break the fall. I will win the war. You can take the battle, cause I prevail and love will conquer all.
That was Vikram's first poem, which is converted to a song. It is called My Stims. Stims is referred to as the involuntary behaviors that he has, like you see today. So he's very much aware, very cognitively aware of what's going on, but his body says something else. There's a dichotomy of his body and his mind. That's very typical of Vedanta. That's how he got into philosophy quite a bit. He was asked once, you haven't spoken, but where does all this come from? And how do you manage to get through life? You seem to be quite pleasant and happy. So I just wanted to read out what he wrote. Very early on, it dawned on me that I had to be my best friend. My mind soars to such beautiful thoughts that I may never have experienced as someone who is compelled to speak to someone. He doesn't have that compulsion, so his mind is playing within. Can you hear the click?
For inviting me to present my poems. Autism is my label bestowed on me by fellow humans who are more comfortable boxing based on haves and the disadvantaged. Since my label as a 3-year-old, my behavior conformed to the textbook definition, a low intelligence, non-speaking, non-existent person on the fringe of mainstream existence. For a person identified as one with a low functional intelligence, my cognitive and listening skills sharpened my intellect. While interacting through a limited body that barely listened to my brain, I learned that I was surrounded with unconditional love that needs no language. I wished to make my own story one of triumph of hope and love over impossibility.
Next slide. So Vikram is quite a positive young lad. He does write some dark poetry as well, but he's full of hope, and he's always hoping for the best for not just himself. There was a message that he wrote to a very high-tech guy who's built ChatGPT. And when he was asked what he'd like him to do, he said, I'd like you to take care of all humans, and AI should not disrupt the planet even for animals and other beings. So he's very aware of the planet that he lives on. So this is a poem that he wrote, What I Created, which is actually written by God, right? Oh, it's Dreams of Yonder, okay. So migratory leaps, flap untiring, sight of horizons undaunted, strength of wings unfailing, goals of her journey undiscovered. Who but the fearless embark with unbridled passion, barring fears unknown, eyes seeing opportunity in the dark, worryless nerves of steel beckon. Ambition, you cruel master, heeds not the specter of failure, forging ahead with dreams to conquer, befriend your pain in spasms of grandeur. Pray for winds uplifting, warmth and love of family unstinting. Angels and demons around unheeding. Infinite possibilities keep my feathers flapping. The past, buried moments, that never existed. So that's his hope and his dreams for the future. Next poem, please. So what I created is the poem that God actually wrote. Captivating to watch the clever spider lure his web-entangled meal, swirling beehives storing nectar for all in hexagonal barrels of life's elixir. Intricate designs adorning delicate floral wings of egoless butterflies, dancing peacocks in shivering ecstasy with promises of life's joys. Leaves feeding off basking sunshine to feed the world I created. Exquisite feathers soaring to perches, soaking in the grandest of tapestries. Mountains and deserts enriching landscapes with bejeweled, water-soaking moist eyes, thanking me with a playful expression of gratitude in sheer harmonic existence. This is God talking about what he created. Then he says, then I got experimental, and God sought to create a breed of intellect and emotion, humanity. A dash of independence and self-awareness with a dancing imagination. A fragile body and mind to maneuver daunting surroundings. I slip into a proud artist's slumber, rudely awakened by my fading species, wailing. Has one of my favorite children gone horribly astray? This is humans. Obliterating the symmetry of a balanced harmonic dance. Caught in my own web, homelessly untangled, I unravel my folly of disengaging from the rest, creating the world of I. Vikram is obviously pained by all the wars and all the strife that he sees on the planet. And he wrote this one when he read the headlines. And funnily enough, Vikram, who's not had any education or any certificate to his name to put on any frame, on any wall, no school degree, not even kindergarten, no 10th, 12th, college. His only certificate he's had is from the University of Pennsylvania, the UPenn program for modern poetry. So Dr. Alfil Rez, who ran the program on modern poetry, he's among the few who actually completed the whole course. Most people dropped out, and we were very surprised that he actually went through it. So this is the poem that he read out in his summation as well at the end of the course, appreciating what Vikram had to say about wars that we're constantly seeing, and this was after he read the headlines from the newspapers. Minds at war. Little feet stranded at man-drawn national lines, staring into open skies, free for birds to soar, shearing white clouds with shrieking, deathly missiles, destroying humanity, shredding children's hospitals with its deadly roar. Victory marches parading war machines as coffins line weeping mothers, hugging fathers in uniform wearing medals of dubious valor, lost tears to diseased minds, clamoring for a line in forgettable histories, marching innocent generations to smoldering gas chambers. Tribunals on who to hang, never on lessons unlearned. Nuclear pacts unpacked as shinier artillery paraded. Stench of burning human ambitions amass hungry stomachs to feed, sowing seeds of hate for generations unborn to heed. Disunited nations argue on who to feed based on color of eyes, crossing boundaries judged by histories written not by the vanquished. Papers signed relinquished land and scarred prisoner exchanges. Did God's creations, your trophies, ever belong to you? So at the last Glasshouse Festival, Vicky was introduced to a form of poetry writing called Gogyoshis. And he took a fancy to it. So he's written about 6 or 7 of them. He's written about 60 poems in all. We hope to publish someday. His headings are very interesting. Future tense is a bit of, you would think it's a bit of a grammar lesson, but it's more to do with the future. And if you look at the Vedantic part of where this comes from, we read it a few times. So he's talked about the past, the future, the present, and the moments that we call life. So let me read this out to you. Future tense. Is the past buried moments that never existed? Is the future a series of sensory experience that will cease to exist, or to be? Is the present we yearn a sensation that dies before we grasp its impermanence? Is the collection of moments we call life that never existed? Is the life same as living or existing, forgetting it was meant to live and love?
Most of us have disabilities we may not recognize but live with it. Accept it and embrace it in the world we all singularly are a part of. Poetry is my language harmonizing my vivid thoughts and dreamy aspirations to energize a call to action. Poetry has always represented society and its longing for a connection with the true essence of humanity, feeding its readers with the power to inspire and influence history. I would like my work to feed that passion for positivity and compassionate expression through action.
Thank you. Yeah, so this baffled us because he hadn't had any formal education. His vocabulary was just astounding. His spelling and grammar is fairly accurate, though he's never had any formal lessons. So at 27, we took him to Atlanta and then to Austin, where there's a program called RPM, which is Rapid Prompting Method, which if you'd seen, he was pointing to a board. He actually types now on an iPad. So he actually writes it, his commas, etc., is something that he puts in. But he listens very intently. He's got super sharp hearing. So we've asked him many times, where does your learning come from? So he's a devourer of all kinds of content. When he started communicating in the beginning, until 27 years old, he was listening to lullabies and stuff like that. But then what we did not realize, what he said is, I'm constantly listening and taking in everything that goes through. So coming back to the Rain Man story, there's this scene when Tom Cruise is astounded by Dustin Hoffman's mathematical abilities. And he sees the number of toothpicks fallen, and he says 49 or something. And he says, say that again, what was that? And that was the Rain Man moment that we had when we took him to Soma in Austin. Soma Mukhopadhyay started this, and it's a lifeline for many autistic individuals who are locked within their bodies but had no form of expression. Various methodologies exist, but RPM is one that we pretty much tried it all, gone all over the world trying to figure out what's best for him. But RPM is how he communicates through an iPad, where he types individual words. He sits in one sitting. He does not have any reiterations, nothing. He just sits 45, 50 minutes flat. And we asked him, where does it come from? He says, I've already had the poem in my head. I just have to spit it out. Great question. Actually, when we went for this program for the first time, we'd gone with very little expectations. We just said, if he can tell us where it hurts when he's hungry. His mom, Bobby, who's right here. Bob, can you come up, please? Bobby has never, ever given up, meaning this journey would not have been possible. I gave up a long time ago, but she keeps saying, we should try this, we should try that. When we saw another child like him, who was fairly hyperactive, Bobby saw the video. Our daughter Jalika sent us the video of this boy called Reese in Atlanta. And when we went there, the first thing we told the therapist, we don't need any fancy sales pitch. Just tell us what he could do to tell us when it hurts, when he's hungry, etc. And that's where it started. Yeah, he listens to YouTube's. He's a big fan of Sarva Priyananda, who's the Vedanta Academy. He also listens to pretty much any content you throw at him. When he started communicating, the first thing they told us is assume competence in terms of his cognitive intelligence. So when we came back from lullabies, it switched straight to all the way from poetry to quantum physics. And then he listened to Emily Dickinson's serial on Apple. And that's when he first said, I want to learn about sonnets. So his content is pretty much what he takes in. He's got almost a photographic memory of newspapers. So during COVID, which was the best time in our lives when we actually taught him how to communicate, Bobby used to sit with him for about 4 hours every day just trying to get him to learn how to communicate. So his content is very varied. It could be newspapers, it could be speech that's going on right here. But then he wasn't a big fan of poetry, or at least we didn't know it, until there was this poetry festival happening in Atlanta, and they asked for contributions, and that's when he wrote his first poem, My Stims. So the content is pretty much anything that goes on around him. If it's in a restaurant, he calls it eagle ears, so he's listening to pretty much anything that's going on around him, and he takes it all in. He's got multiple channels of listening. Unlike us, we tend to limit our channels to who we're listening to and what we're listening to. The content is limited, but his content is multi-channel. It's visual as well. As I said, photographic memory. He can pick up content from a newspaper article and give you a number of how many people died in Turkey during COVID, and he would the paper was actually upside down, and he just said a number, and we went looking through the newspapers, and we found that number was accurate. So he's got interesting memory.
That was really inspiring for everybody here. Thank you so much, Vikram, for being here at the Bangalore Poetry Festival.